Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Force here, and today we'll be doing a tutorial for the crafting systems in Cube World. I like to cover some of the basics when it comes to crafting consumables, weapons, and armor, along with the armor modification system. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about the consumables in this game. So there's a few different things that we can take a look at. Number one, there is alchemy, which is how you make potions, and then there's also cooking, which is how you make food. Now potions are great because you can use them while running around in combat, and food is good healing, but it requires you to sit down and not move for the duration. So the first thing you're going to notice here is we've got a couple of different types of potions. I've got cactus and life potions. Now they actually scale up as you level. As you continue to level, you will unlock additional, more efficient potions. So for example, my first potion that we started off with, it's a power 1 potion, a life potion +1, and it heals HP +200. Now the next one that I got up as I continue to level up is this power 17 one, which heals HP +282. Now you'll notice, however, that when I click on these two things, the ingredients are the same. It requires 1 water flask and 1 heart flower. Water flasks are created by taking glass flasks that you find in your major town. You go to the general shop, you can purchase glass flasks, and then you fill it up with water at your local watering hole. So for example, I can go over here and then we'll click on the water flask formula, which is going to take this glass flask and fill it up with some water. Just like that. So now we will have more water flasks with which to make some potions. So let's go ahead and make some potions now. So I'll go to the potion tab, and again you can see I can now make 6 of these life potion +17s, or 6 of the life potion +1. Obviously the +17 is much better, so we will go ahead and just make some of those. And now we have that many more life potions. Now the cactus potions are a little bit better. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the prickly pear reagents, so I can't make any of those at the moment. Now on to cooking. Cooking, just like potions, it scales up as you level. So you'll notice I've got some of these base pineapple slice, ginseng soup, pumpkin muffin. This is +1, +1, and +5. And then as I've leveled up, I've gotten more effective ones, +20, +20, and +24. Now you can see right here on the right hand side, it shows you how many I can make. I can make 2, 12, and 33, and that is the same case over here. It's the exact same reagents, just more potent formulas. Now some of these things need you to be at a campfire. Some of them you can make wherever, like the pineapple slice I can make wherever. The snowberry mash I can make wherever, but things like the mushroom spits, the ginseng soup, and the pumpkin muffin require me to be at a fireplace. So I'm right here. I can make myself a couple pineapple slices. Delicious. But in order to make the other things, I'll have to come right next to this campfire, and then all of a sudden I am now able to make myself some ginseng soups and even some pumpkin muffins. Just like that. Now unfortunately at the moment there's no craft all button, or there's nothing that says you can craft X amount. You just have to either click this one at a time or hold it down to consistently craft more and more of these cooking consumables. Alright, now that we've covered the basics of potions and food consumables, I'm going to head right into town, which we are very nearby, and make it over to the crafting district, at which point I can show you guys some of the crafting of weapons and armor, as well as one of the neatest discoveries for me about this game, which was the ability to modify your weapons using cubes, and actually not only alter their power, but alter their physical appearance. I think it's so very neat, and I'm very excited to show you guys that. So we just gotta head our way through some of these basic buildings. The towns are broken up into 4 different districts: trade, adventurer, pet, and crafting. And no matter what town you start off your seed with, you're going to have those 4 basic districts, which will have things like your general shop, a weapons and armor vendor, and then the crafting guys. So the first bit of crafting for armor we'll be taking a look at is right over here at what I would call the clothier, or something along those lines. At this guy, you're able to make light armor such as cotton, satin, and silk. Now what you want to first do is go over to the spinning wheel, in which you can take your base ingredients, which are what are known as formulas, to get to the required material to make an item. So my particular class, I play as a rogue here, and as a rogue I wear cloth armor. So in order to make that, I'm going to actually need, or is it cotton to be exact? There's the exact terminology. I think it actually might be cotton. Yeah, so I wear cotton armor as a rogue. The other types of armor are satin, silk, linen, bone, iron, and obsidian. And the breakdown is light armor is cotton, satin, and silk, which you make here at the clothier. Medium armor is linen and bone. And then heavy armor is iron and obsidian. So again, I make cotton. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to take any cotton yarn that I find, and I'm able to spin that into a cotton capsule. And then I use those cotton capsules to make my gear that I have, and there's crafting recipes that I unlock as I level up, and there's also crafting recipes that you can find within the environment. Now you'll hear this ping every so often, and that's actually a critical, and if you pay attention down here, you'll notice I get more cotton yarn every time I critical. So I got a lot of ×1s, and then you heard the ping, and I got a ×2. So while you're crafting, you can get a critical, and I've noticed up to 4 times. Most of the time a critical is 2, but I have noticed a critical ×4 before. So that's a possibility. Okay, so I can't carry any more of those. I've got the maximum at the moment of my cotton capsules, so now I could go over here and go to the loom, and with my cotton capsules, which I can show you how many I have at the moment. Where are they? Got just the 2 right there. I believe I have a lot more than 2. I'm not sure where it ended up. Oh, the cotton yarn. Okay, so the capsules are turning into the yarn. My apologies. So you turn the basic capsules into the cotton yarn. I've got 50 of them at the moment, which is the max that I can carry. And 50 seems to be the max you can carry of anything. Like I've capped at 50 pumpkins and 50 pineapples before, so that appears to be the max that you can carry of any single thing. So I've got 50 cotton yarn right now, and with that yarn, I can go over here to the loom, and then I use this loom to make myself some of my armor. Okay, so I can make things like these worn cotton gloves, which are an increase over the ones that I have, but there's some things that I don't even have any of, such as this chest piece, and I do have boots. Is there anything else that I'm missing here? Okay, looks like I've got everything but the chest piece, so it takes 20 out of the 50 that I have to make this chest piece, so let's go ahead and craft that. And just, oh no, I don't want to make 2. And now that did I just make 2? Oh no, I made a second one, boo. Oh, that's really, really disappointing. Okay, well let's just go to our inventory, and we do have 2 of those, unfortunately. So I'll just sell 1, but there we go, I can equip myself with that cotton chest piece now, and you can see I've got things like the chest piece, there's hands, there's also shoulder right there. Hand, shoulder, chest piece, and feet. And those are basically the major slots. Now, once again, as you continue to level up, you'll get better and better pieces of gear, just like you do with food and potions. So I started off with this +1 armor, this used cotton chest. However, I eventually leveled up, and at which point I unlocked this +17 unwieldy cotton chest armor. And at this place, I do believe you can also make the satin and silk gear, and probably the linen, but maybe not the bone. At least I wouldn't imagine that the bone would be made here. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, so there we go, is the clothier, and that's how I make my cloth gear, just like the chest piece that you just saw me make. And then we've got 2 more places to take a look at when it comes to crafting weapons and armor. The next place that we will be taking a look at is the lumber mill. Now at the lumber mill, you are able to do anything wood related. So this is going to be, so for example, I would take my wood cubes. If I'm away from the lumber mill and I try to bring that up, you can see requires saw. So I go up to the saw, I'm able to take my wood cubes, or take my wood logs and turn them into wood cubes. And then you use those wood cubes to make things like staffs, wands, bows, crossbows, anything wood related, that crafting will be done here at the lumber mill. There's these NPCs, but they don't really do anything but tell you basic stuff about the game. At the moment, they have nothing to do with the particular crafting that is within this area. Okay, so you would go to the workbench, and then you would, I myself, I can't make anything out of wood. My particular class, the rogue, doesn't have anything out of wood that I can make. So even though there's this worn iron fist that looks wooden, it actually requires iron cubes in order to make. Plus an anvil, which is at the blacksmith, that the next thing we're going to be taking a look at. So yeah, but if you happen to be playing as a ranger or a mage, you would be able to use this this lumber mill to make some of your weapons. Okay, and then the final bit of crafting that we'll be taking a look at, which is not only going to be the heavier crafting gear and the weapons, but this is also going to be where you do weapon modification here at the customization workbench. This is the blacksmith area. Again, an NPC that doesn't have anything to do with the crafting, but just tells you basic stuff like, hey, the weather is nice. So this is where most of the stuff we're going to be talking about here comes from. So there's a bit to take a look at. You're going to be getting all sorts of deposits, such as iron nuggets, golden nuggets, silver nuggets, all your basic metals you will actually bring on over to the furnace, and then at the furnace you can smelt those into cubes. So I can smelt a silver cube, I can smelt a couple of gold cubes, and then I can also smelt a few iron cubes. Now with those cubes, you are then able to not only create certain weapons, but you're also able to modify those weapons. And modification will also be done back at the lumber mill for wooden items with wooden cubes. But since I am using the metals, this is where I do my this is where I do my modification. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure all the modification, the customization has to be done here, but the actual crafting of wooden stuff is done at the lumber mill, but the customization is done here. So first of all, let me show you the creation. So I am able to make things like these weapons here. So I can make myself a, this is actually a pretty good weapon that once I upgrade it would be better than the weapon that I have. You can see the weapon that I currently have equipped is a base power level of plus 17. This base power level is 24, so it's a little bit better. Now the damage and the stats are lower, but that's only because the weapon that I currently have has got a bunch of modifications on it. But I can make things like iron longswords, daggers, and iron fist. Other weapons that are made in this game, so for one-handed weapons, there's daggers, longswords, maces, and shields. Two-handed, there's greatsword and great mace, and then for ranged weapons, there's bows, staffs, wands, boomerangs, and shurikens. Now the weapons that you can use are directly related to your class. So for example, I can just use longsword, iron dagger, and iron fist. And I believe shurikens are going to be available at some point for this class, or that might be for the ranger, I'm not sure. And warriors will use things like great swords, great maces, shields, and maces. Mages will use bows, mages will use staffs and wands, and rangers will use bows and crossbows, for example, and I think boomerangs as well. But again, my particular class, I only have these recipes to make these certain things. Now I've picked up other recipes as I've gone throughout the game, and you also can pick up recipes for your own class. So you don't just get recipes for your class by leveling up, you can also find some. So for example, I found this recipe here for a neat iron dagger, but it requires a power level of 63. I'm currently power level 24. You just get power levels as you level up. So just to give you a rough estimate, at level 7, I'm power level 24. So basically to get to 63, I would probably need to be around level 21, just as an estimate. But I also have recipes for ranger, a bunch of other weapons here for rangers, a mage, warrior. So you can see I've picked up recipes within the world for the other classes, but I can only use the one for my class. I can't use any of these other weapons because they don't fit my particular class. All right, so I'm not going to make any of these weapons because I don't want to use the very little metal that I have at the moment. I don't even know if I have enough to make anything. Well, technically I could make like these iron daggers. Or no, I can't. I only have 7. So I could make these worn iron fist, for example. But I'm not going to do that because I would like to use the few iron cubes that I have left to now show you the customization system, and this is probably the neatest thing in this game. You're able to customize your weapons with metals based on their level. So my weapon right now, I've got a basic iron longsword, and I'm able to attach iron cubes onto it. So as you go further down and you get more advanced weapons, I'm assuming you'll eventually get gold weapons and silver weapons, you will then be able to use those to modify those type of weapons. But I can only put iron cubes or elementals, which I don't have any right now, but you pick up these elemental items from things like bosses that add bonus like fire damage, slowing damage, increased attack speed, life leech. There's all these sort of elementals that you can find that you're also able to attach. Now, what you can attach, how many you can attach are based on the weapon type. So for example, this weapon type right here, I can attach 32 upgrades to it. And that means right now, you see 29 out of 32. I have got 29 individual 29 individual iron cubes attached to this that weren't originally there. And that's actually all along this backside. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to remove these and place them someplace different. So let me just to show you here as an example, I'm going to take a few of these off this back portion here. And you'll notice if you look at my weapon back down here, it is changing as I do this. So the weapon is visually being altered based on the modifications that I'm making. So that's how my weapon looks now. So take a look. My weapon has changed. So you're able to take these cubes, for example, this weapon, I can use up to 32 cubes to alter the way that it looks. Now at the moment it's kind of difficult because I haven't found any way to zoom in on the weapon, but I can move it around with middle mouse wheel. But it's a little bit difficult to basically click and drag these and move them around as you desire. But I'm going to put these back in the place that I like them. So prior to putting on these 27 cubes, this entire back row here was not there. These are all part of or 29 cubes, sorry, that I have. Prior to putting on these 29 cubes, this entire back row of this sword wasn't here. I basically added all of that on. And I can do up to 3 more, so I've got 3 more of my iron cubes that I can put on here. So I'd like to actually fix up that top here and point it up a little bit more. Okay, so I can fit 1 more iron cube now. So why don't we try putting it right here. Okay, so that now is how my sword looks. So we'll go out, we'll take a look at the sword, and it's been modified. So you're able to do this to weapons such as swords and shields and bows. Any of your weapons you're able to modify with these cubes, and you can alter the way it looks. So for example, I could put cubes on the left and right side of this instead of putting it all in the back row. Now that's a tedious task that takes a lot of time, so I'm not going to sit and do that here. But just to show you, again, you can take, out of your cube allocation, you can take any relevant metals or wood, depending on the weapon type, and then add them however you like. So I could add things to the hilt or make the handle wider. I could sort of make this go up I can make like these designs up the side if I wanted to. You can do whatever you want within your allocation for that modification system, and I think that's a really neat system. I really like that, so there you go. All right guys, well that is going to do it here for this tutorial for the crafting systems in Cube World. Stay tuned, as I'll likely come out with more tutorials whenever I think I find anything worth sharing with you guys, especially since this game has just gone into purchasable alpha. I think a lot of people are going to be wondering some of these basic things. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you like the content, and as always, keep watching and keep owning. What do you have to say to me? My pig is adorable. Well, your pig is not as adorable as my sheep, Snapdragon. Cutest sheep of them all. Love you.